I'm back. This is week 3 of the Striker Fired class with the Sonoran Desert Institute. I want to jump into part 1 of this week's assignment. It's really just a reflection on the week 1 assignment for this class. And the goal of that assignment was basically to kind of, it gave us like the scenario of like a customer that came in, basically was telling us like the malfunction it was happening, the malfunction that, you know, it was giving them, and we had to basically explain like what questions we'd ask, how would we go about troubleshooting it and stuff like that. I kind of just had the, you know, the basic questions that anybody who's somewhat fluent with striker fired pistols would ask. But between then and now, in these 3 weeks, we've gone into depth on how these systems work. So it was like not only like a refresher for me, it was a deeper dive into the complexities of the striker fired system. It also pointed out that, or it made me realize, there's a whole like vast world out there of striker fired pistols, like a lot of variety in how the mechanisms work between different models. So it was kind of humbling to me, but you know, now if I were to do that assignment again, I would ask the same questions, maybe a little bit more in a complex or elaborate way, and then add more questions in as well, based on what I know now from the class. Because the class really, it breaks down the general systems of striker fired pistols into very detailed, like a list of the parts and what malfunctions they can cause. So it's not really just like, it's kind of, I feel like before the class, I had kind of mumble jumbled broken pieces, bits and pieces of knowledge with striker fired guns, and then now it's like we took all those pieces and just kind of pieced them together, and it's like one cohesive, you know, knowledge. All right, so we get to play with the Dagger today. You saw me build this last week. My camera died because I was filming with my phone at the time. I didn't get the installation of the factory iron sights on video. But for this assignment, I'm gonna be using a hammer and a drift punch to remove the old factory sights, and then we're gonna use a sight pusher, which I went out and bought to install these XS sights. As you might know, if you've watched my previous videos, I'm a big sucker for the Real Avid brand of gunsmithing equipment. So I went with the Real Avid sight pusher. This thing is massive compared to the normal Wheeler one that you've probably seen, but I just really trust this brand, and this is gonna be my first time using it. First things first, we gotta make sure that there's no live ammunition in the workspace, which there isn't, and then we gotta clear this firearm. So we got no magazine in there, rack the slide, nothing in the chamber. Little finger check. I think we're good. So I actually failed to mention that when I was installing the factory iron sights that came with the Dagger kit, there was actually an issue fitting it in. I just totally forgot about it. So that's where these things come in handy, but you just find the right file. There's some triangular ones in here too. Essentially, you just kind of file that out, and I mean, you might still be able to see where I had to file it down. That made this installation a lot easier. If you're using brass punches, and especially if you're using steel punches, you could use blue painter's tape, that's what I did. And essentially, you can take the blue painter's tape and just wrap all around, or unless you're installing it, then it would be this edge. Now, lastly, before I actually take this out to the range and shoot it, I'm gonna get it as close to centered as possible. So for now, we're gonna use digital calipers. Definitely a noticeable difference in sight picture acquisition. So yeah, tomorrow's gonna be a little range day, and we'll see what that does. All right, so today was range day. We took the Dagger out to the indoor range, and it was a pleasant surprise to see how well it shot. It only shot maybe, you know, a hair to the left at first, so it was just one adjustment and then shooting straight from then on. I was using one 15 grain full metal jacket, Winchester ammo, so just practice ammo. I wanted to keep the variables down to a minimum, but you know, with that low bore axis on these Glock platforms, I mean, it really does a number despite how heavy that slide is. And then just for fun and for comparison purposes, I whipped out the Shadow Systems MR920. That's my everyday carry, and obviously there's going to be a little difference in shooting quality between $1,000 versus sub 300. So not saying that the Dagger didn't shoot well. It shot great for, you know, what it is. And needless to say that it got sent to me as a, you know, a lab material for the class. So it's awesome. But you know, that's really just a wrap for this week's assignment. So like and subscribe so you can see the following weeks and what I got coming up for you guys, for myself as well. So stay strapped.